this video, I'm going to be going over the 6 roles that every real estate investor needs to have by their side in order to help them close deals faster, avoid legal messes, and be able to build a passive income. As a matter of fact, buying property isn't hard at all. You could buy a swamp tomorrow if you were super into alligators and mosquito bites. But the fact of the matter is being able to buy the right property for you is where a lot of investors ultimately will fail. So if you think that having enough cash and credit is just enough to get you through, then you are bringing a Nerf gun to a knife fight. You need to make sure you've got the right team that's got your back. I'm James Masadi. I am a real estate investor and the owner of Our Team Accounting and Crystal Clear Property Management. On this channel, I am passionate about helping business owners and entrepreneurs achieve their personal and professional financial success through intentional planning. And before we dive into today's video, I'm curious, who do you think is the most important team member for you to have on your real estate deal team? Drop that down in the comments below because I look forward to reading through all of your feedback. All right, so the first person that you're going to want to make sure that you've got on your deal team is your deal finder and negotiator. If you're thinking that it's going to maybe be a little cloudy with a chance of some cash flowing real estate deals just dropping out of the sky on your head while you're sitting back watching some Netflix, yeah, that's not really how it works until you've built a system for that to work at least. You're gonna need an agent or a wholesaler or be willing to put in the work yourself or maybe even hire a VA who's going to ultimately be the person that is actually sourcing deals for you to analyze. The key thing here is getting somebody who has the knowledge and experience of working with investors. We are not talking about your regular, everyday residential real estate transaction. As an investor, you are looking for something different. At the end of the day, this deal finder, negotiator person is gonna kind of be like that dating app where, you're trying to swipe through finding the one, but if you get it wrong, instead of this just being somebody who's going to ghost you after 3 months, or maybe worse, send you like 300 text messages asking why you ghosted them, it could actually cost you thousands or tens of thousands of dollars by getting into the wrong deal. So now that we're talking about getting into the wrong deal, let's assume we got to the point where we actually have bought a deal. That means that we're going to need a property manager. We're going to need somebody who's actually going to take care of this asset and whatever tenants that we're ultimately going to taking use of that real estate space. And here's the thing, dealing with tenants, dealing with maintenance, dealing with evictions, it's not for everybody. So like a great property manager, they're going to handle, your rent collection and finding you a good person and making sure that the repairs are being done and that you're in compliance with all the laws and things that are needed. So like, if those are all things that are inside of your skill set, inside your knowledge base, you want to take care of all your stuff, then absolutely you can do your own property management. What's important to understand though, is honestly, you're no longer passive if you're the one doing the property management. So while you're going to be building wealth and that you're going to be, hopefully getting some cash flow out of these properties, this is the most active part of managing a real estate portfolio or even a single property. So while passive investing without a property manager is kind of like trying to get, really rock hard abs while eating pizza every night, having the wrong property manager is basically just going to end up having the same results. So as you're looking at and trying to evaluate who is going to be a really good property manager, I strongly recommend that you take a look at the link down in the descriptions below, where I've linked to an article on the website Bigger Pockets, where they identify 78 questions that you can be asking a property manager. The third person that you're going to want to have on your team is going to be your real estate attorney. So whether it comes to contracts, lease agreements, zoning laws, all of that sort of stuff, one mistake in any of these things can cost you tons in a lawsuit. So when you're looking for an attorney, one of the best things that you can do is to ask for referrals. Get affiliated with your local real estate investor meetup groups. There's a lot of these on Facebook or on meetup.com. Ask those people who they are using for their real estate attorney. The fourth person that you're going to want to have on your team is going to be your accounting and tax folks. Because here's the thing, if you don't plan your taxes right, then you are potentially giving away thousands of dollars. Real estate investing is one of the most efficient ways to be able to protect against taxes, but at the end of the day, taxes are a lot like mosquitoes. They are going to find you and they're going to suck you dry. A good real estate tax professional is going to help you maximize the deductions. They're going to make sure that you're classifying things correctly in terms of what you can capitalize, what you can take as expenses. They're going to make sure that you are in compliance with things. However, most tax strategy people are not going to actually do the compliance work that you need to do to make sure all that stuff is getting coded correctly. So at the end of the day, finding an accountant, like I said, who understands cash flow, who understands the depreciation, who understands 1031 exchanges, and can work very closely with your real estate attorney, because there's a lot of overlap in terms of like what's the best tax strategy versus what's the best legal protection strategy. And sometimes those things are in conflict, and being able to have somebody who can have those conversations and discussions is going to be really critical for you in terms of making sure that the team all plays really nice together. The number 5 role that you're going to want to make sure that you have on your team is going to be your contractors. And I'm going to kind of loosely throw into this your handyman. And the reason I'm going to say the handyman in air quotes is that not all contractors are honest and reliable. And this is definitely one of those areas where like you sometimes get what you pay for. And I hear so many stories of real estate investors who are trying to be cheap in order to maximize their returns on cash flow, especially in like rental properties. Those repairs, they eat into your cash flow really hardcore. And if we're not like, controlling that, like we can start losing a lot of money. So again, the people will oftentimes be like, so when you go to those RIAs and you like get recommendations for your attorney, I will tell you this, people guard and protect their good contractors probably more so than they do their kids half the time, right? So the odds of you being able to like go and ask people for referrals or recommendations for like, hey, who's your carpenter, contractor, general contractor type person? Who's your HVAC guy, your electrician, your plumber, whatever it is. You kind of gotta like figure that it's a little bit harder to sometimes get people to give away those referrals, because if you start giving them a whole bunch of business, they may not have time to take care of my properties. And people get really defensive about their really good contractors. But at the end of the day, like building a relationship with somebody, getting their referrals, getting their testimonials is definitely a critical path to making sure you get the person who's going to do the right job, right work for you. All right, so number 6 is going to be your insurance broker, because you definitely need and want to make sure you have insurance. Insurance companies are not nonprofits, right? So when you buy insurance, the math is in the favor of the insurance company. They are going to win the majority of the time, because that's exactly their business model, right? Like they are gambling that, with actuarial tables and all the math and science behind, rates of things happening, that you pay them this amount of money and they're going to win. So what it boils down to is, do you want to not get the best possible insurance because you're going to save a couple bucks? Because again, we're trying to do everything we can to maximize our cash flow, but also like when you have a property catch on fire, like I did, you want to make sure you're actually getting paid for that, because that's really expensive to fix. So you especially want to talk to people who have gone through some sort of a claim experience. So that's really the most important part. Like people might say like, oh yeah, my agent is great, blah, blah, blah. Well, your agent's great until you actually need him to show up and like fight on your behalf with their insurance company that they sold a policy for. If they're not willing to like help you out with that sort of stuff, then again, you just gotta, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You got to understand how much time and energy you're willing to put in versus, how much you're wanting to offload and have them be able to help and support you with that sort of stuff. So now that we've identified what those 6 roles are and you have put together your own personalized real estate Avengers team, it is time for you to go out and get on your first mission of going forward and buying your property. Now, in order to make sure that that is more Iron Man than Ant-Man, sorry, Paul Rudd, go ahead and click on the video right here where we're going to go deep into buying that first property. I will see you there.